Carpe Opticus. I bet you haven't seen one of these before. That is a Goyojo GRL335 thermal weapon sight. It's a neat little weapon sight, coming at 334 resolution. Looks a lot like an ACOG. Works completely different than an ACOG. It's got all of these features, and it's got this lens cap that comes completely off. It's more like a door that just removes. Not to worry, the lens itself is very well recessed inside the housing, and so it's still very well protected even without the lens cap. And the unit operates on a basic 4-button design. So I just need to get the 18650 battery charged and get it on the rifle, which I've done here. Looks good on my rifle. Not too large. And here we are at the range at 50 yards. Going to sight in some new ammunition. Just going to take a test shot to see where the bullets are impacting at 50 yards. Here we go. The Goyojo does not record audio, so I added in the sound of this shot. You can't see it on the thermal, but the first shot impacted low and left. Made some corrections and moved to 100 yards. Got a hot hands target out there at 100 yards. And that impacted just a little left. So I made a correction. Impacted a little further to the right, made another correction. And before I get back to the target, I want to talk about the time at the top left. It says that it's January 1st, 2025 at 3:20 a.m. I had reset this before I left. I changed the batteries, and I think it reset all my settings. This will be a feature later. I also got tired of the lack of audio and added my own external voice recorder. Alright, I think we're about on target. We're going to do some verification shots and get some velocity with the Nosler Partition 100 grain bullets loaded by Drill Hill Armory and the Starline Brass. Alright, let's see how we're going to do. Go ahead and zoom in. That is full zoom. For 384, that doesn't look terrible for what I'm doing, so that's great. For my range in the sunshine, I thought it looked pretty darn good. Well, that didn't help. Ideally, all of these shots should be on the hand warmer, even though it's fallen. Alright, these are the previous shots on target, and these are all the shots that I just took, all on the hand warmer. I ended up making one correction back to the left. And my velocity came out to be 2,780 feet per second. Moving on to my first hunt, I have reset the time on the clock to be the correct time and the correct date. So we're good to go there. And we've got some horses out there at about 380 yards or so. The tree cluster's at 355 yards. I looked at but failed to record the environmental data for this hunt. As I recall, it was somewhere around 90 degrees and the humidity ranged between 60 and 80%. And here I'm just going through the zoom buttons. I like the fact that you can zoom both backwards and forwards with this unit. It's a deer up there at 185 yards, and I am in the red hot mode, and the red hot mode actually looks kind of pink. There's another deer back where the horses were, out there at about 380 yards or so. And the last deer of the night is out there at about 375 yards, down in the low area where it's more humid. And if you look in the upper left-hand corner, the time and date has reset. That is not good. I checked my zeros had reset, and so I went home for the night to check out what was wrong with the unit. I could not replicate why it lost zero. I changed batteries on it multiple times, and it still didn't do it again. So I went back to the range, put the scope back on the rifle. I had taken it off, put it back on the rifle to check, and I was checking the return to zero, and the shot was within an inch of where I aimed, so not too shabby. Alright, just running through some of the colors here. Got some cattle. Get a little bit more focused. Alright. We will start with white hot.
iron red, green hot, fusion, ice fire, red hot, and white hot again.
Here's what the picture-in-picture looks like. You have to go through a couple levels of menu settings in order to get the picture-in-picture activated. When you turn it on, it occupies the top 1/4 of the screen, half the screen up and down, and half left and right, so that's about 1/4 of the screen. In the scope, you may see one crosshair, you may see two crosshairs. I was seeing two crosshairs at this time, except the bottom crosshair that you see right there was truncated on the top half of it. I could only see the lower half. There was a crosshair in the picture-in-picture, but as you can see, the picture-in-picture covers too much of the screen, and so it's basically unusable at this point. I suspect this will be getting fixed in a future update. However, without picture-in-picture, carpe sus. You can still certainly hunt hogs. We've got a sounder out there about 260 yards. I don't know how far away that hog in the background that's running back and forth is, but the other hogs are about 260 yards away. The wind isn't going to be a problem for me at this point. Just need to move up and get my shot. Now it's twilight at this point. I think at this moment we're still inside of proper hunting hours if we were deer hunting, which we are not, and it's not deer season. But it is getting dark quickly. However, I can see the hogs with my naked eye at this point. So I'm able to walk up to them without using my handheld. I'm just walking up to them based upon my regular vision. And here I've continued to move up. The hogs have not taken notice of me. And I do a quick scan around looking for any rambunctious cattle. Anything that might want to run through my field of fire unexpectedly. And all the cattle seem very calm at this point. Move up one more time. No problems with the cattle. I've got one to the close front right, and to the far back left, and to the far left. So I've actually got a nice shooting lane between the cattle. And that's what I'm going to take advantage of right here. And watch what happens with this little shote that walks in. Blocks the sow. The sow takes off running. My lead was too much for the distance. So as the hogs take off running, they're still in my shooting lane for the most part, and the cattle do seem calm. But I don't know how far away the hogs are. This is a new scope. I'm just going to watch them go this time. Maybe next time in a safer field of fire, I'll take some longer range shots at them. And eventually the hogs disappear after about 450 to 500 yards or so. No twofer for me. I came away with a gilt, coming in at just 75 pounds and not pregnant.
Brass Catcher by Tactical Brass Recovery.
And the shot traveled through the body, stopping inside the neck just behind the head. The nostril partition bullet did not penetrate quite as far as I anticipated, so I only got one hog. It impacted low, left behind the shoulder, broke several ribs in the process. It destroyed the heart, and ended up crossing the neck, stopping behind the head, underneath the skin on the opposite side after about 14 inches of penetration. Carpe sus, my friends.